Hey everyone, I'm your astrologer Brittany of Ethereal Astrology, helping you to see the larger story of your life with horoscopes that emphasize the cycles of the moon and the slower moving planets. Today, you're watching your horoscope for the collective for the full moon in the sign of Capricorn, which occurs on Friday, June 21st, 2024 at 9:07 p.m. Eastern Time or 6:07 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, what I think is going on here at this full moon in Capricorn is that we're trying to decide which new idea we might want to pursue and how, especially after getting tons of those we're very excited about over the course of the past few weeks. Not only is it about that, but it's also too about us getting more clarity about what idea we want to pursue and how. But despite us wanting to make a decision and getting clarity perhaps about what decision to make, I think we're still hesitating here to make that and still trying to wrap our minds around these insights that it is that we're getting, because they're very different, I think, from what it is that we're used to doing. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned. Before I hop into it though, I did just want to let you all know about a cool new astrology app I just found online that I think you all might be interested in. And that app is called Astra, which you can find on the App Store. And the cool thing about it here is that you can put your natal chart into the app and it will interpret your natal chart for you with artificial intelligence. How cool is that here? And it will write back to you about your chart, and not only write back to you about your chart, but you can ask it questions about your chart as well. What's my communication style? How am I in relationships here? And have a conversation with it as well. And in addition to that, it'll also give you a daily horoscope that is AI generated here, and it will apply some of that horoscope to your natal chart. And you can, of course, ask it questions about the day's energy as well. Why am I feeling tired? Why am I feeling frustrated? And it'll also give you answers about that based on the current astrological alignment. So I think it's really cool here. I think that humans will always be needed, especially to interpret astrology and things like that. But I think that AI is the way the world is going, is the future, and can be a very powerful tool here to help us understand some things. So I wanted to share that with you all. Not only that, but another thought I'll give you about an app like this is that I think it's helpful for some of you who might be like me. And I think one thing about me is that I feel like I've always been very spiritual from a very young age. I've got a 12th house stellium in Gemini, square Mars and Pisces. Here, I've always been very spiritual from a very young age. And when I say spiritual, I mean just curious about the subconscious undercurrents of people and things, why things are the way they are, where people are learning and growing. And even though I've always felt that way from a very young age, I feel like I just never really had someone else to talk to about that, or that would understand that in some sort of way. That has been, I think, one of my life's biggest challenges. So an app like this is perfect for me because, it's like having someone to talk to that can kind of talk about astrology here without, especially if you don't have someone in your life that you can talk to about. And that's how I learned astrology myself. A matter of fact, I didn't really start taking courses from astrologers till at the very end of my time learning astrology, just to make sure that I was on the right track. But most of my learning astrology was really just from Googling things. And AI to me is like an advanced form of Google. You can ask it questions and things like that. So I think it's very good if you are like me, spiritual, but don't have a lot of people in your life to talk to about it. You can download this app, chat back and forth, and it might help you learn astrology, especially. I think this might be more suited for the beginners here, but can be something very cool to play with that I'm excited to see what happens with that from here on out. So please check that out, Astra, on the App Store if you're interested. Now let's go ahead and let's hop in to the horoscope for today. What I like to do first here in this video is, of course, place in the chart what it is that I'm referring to so that you can just see what it is and where we're starting. So I'm going to do that. This horoscope for today is for the full moon in Capricorn on, of course, Friday, June 21st, 2024. Because of that, I've adjusted my chart accordingly to that lunar event. I know that because I've got the sun here in Cancer, making an exact opposition over here to the moon in the sign of Capricorn here. And when the moon opposes the sun here, that is what is considered a full moon. And of course, the moon's in Capricorn. So a full moon in Capricorn here, that's going on at 1 degree. Okay. Now, what is this about here? Let's start there. Well, full moons to me are really all about stepping into something that we've been working towards for quite some time, or trying to bring it to completion. Not only are full moons about that, here they can also be a bit about decisions, especially with it being in Capricorn here, but also too with the full moon being a function of an opposition, right? And it's hard to do two opposite things at once. A lot of times there needs to be some kind of a decision made in order to navigate that. And not only are full moons about that here, but it is, again, when the moon is the brightest in the sky. And because of that, I believe it also usually brings some kind of insight or illumination, something to our more conscious mind that maybe we did not see before here as well that's going on. Okay, what is it that we are stepping into, bringing to fullness or completion, making a decision about here, getting insight on? Well, Capricorn, because that is the sign that the moon is in. And what do I want to say here about this? Well, Capricorn to me is also a decisive sign here that likes more decisions, more certainty here about things. So that's going to make me put more emphasis on decisions, to pull that part of the full moon out. I think there's a big emphasis here on us wanting to make a decision or feeling pressured to make some kind of decision here in our lives, and to get some answers and insights and clarity about that. And not only that, but Capricorn does also tend to be about our career, our place in the world, or just the direction our life is going, if you want to think about it in a more general sense here. So not only do I think that this full moon, we definitely are feeling, more called to step into some big decision here, but some decision about our career, our reputation, and where our life is going here after this point. And not only that, but because Capricorn, of course, is Saturn ruled, but also an earth sign, I do think of it as more about structure. It wants to structure things, managing. To me, the Capricorn's a sign of managing and structuring things here as well, which I think ties back into that need for certainty here too. So not only at this full moon, I think, are we trying to step into some big decisions here about our career, our reputation, and where our life is going, but we're also trying to put more structure and management, maybe even boundaries, right? This kind of thing with structure around these decisions that we want to make here, so that there's more certainty and more of a clear path here that it is that we might want to pursue. In addition to that here, again, back to the fact that Capricorn is an earth sign, I do consider just all earth signs in general to be more practical, more realistic, more grounded, or based on, like practical things, facts and stuff like that. So not only are we trying to make some decisions here about the direction we want our life to go in, and trying to put more boundaries and structures in place to give that a more clear path with more certainty, but I think we're also trying to be more practical and realistic about what we pursue too here, and in what way, so that it can, hopefully last the test of time. And not only do I want to note that here about this full moon, but I feel like I also have to mention as well that it is at 1 degree, the very beginning degree of a sign here, which isn't always the case with full moons and new moons. They can be at any of the degrees. Here, this one's at the very beginning. Not only do I want to note that this is at the very beginning degree of Capricorn, but I want to note there is another full moon we're going to have in Capricorn 4 weeks from now. Okay, the next full moon that we're going to have is going to be in Capricorn at the last degree now, 29 degrees. And what that means to me here is a few things. The first degree is a younger degree, an earlier degree here, which means that it has less experience than the other degrees here, or less clarity, maybe even, I don't know if this is the way I want to put it, but less maturity to it here. So not only do I want to say that, sure, we're trying to step into at this full moon some sort of decision about our life and where we want it to go, and more management and more structure and more clarity around a path that is going to be good for us for a while here, and be more practical and realistic about it. There's something that's still not fully cooked yet, fully baked. There's still something about this decision that's still a little young, still a little immature, still hasn't really fully been worked through, and is still a bit preliminary, a preliminary decision. It's really not until the next full moon in Capricorn 4 weeks from now, at the most mature, the 29th degree, the anaretic degree, also has a lot of other things going on with it too here, that I think this decision is going to become more permanent, more realized, and where we're going to start to take the action on it. This to me is more starting to make a decision, getting the mindset or the right ideas, and then we'll commit and take action a bit later. So keep that in mind as well, that that's going to factor significantly into the rest of my interpretation here as well. Okay, so that's, to me, what I think I want to say for now about the general themes. I like to start with that big picture here, that what's going on at this full moon, just to repeat that, is that we're trying to step into here some decision that we want to make about the direction our life is going in. Here that with more management, more structure, more boundaries, and more clarity surrounding that direction here, so that it will be with us for a while, and to be more practical and realistic about it, and that decision that we're trying to make may still be a little preliminary at this time and not fully baked or cooked in the way we might like, and may still take us another month to fully understand, work out the details, and actually start to act and move forward on. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Now, before I move forward to give you more specific details about this full moon itself and the aspects that either it's making or that's happening around it here, I do like to go backwards in time for a minute here before going forwards. And I like to go backwards in time before going forwards in order to give you more of the context about how we got here, and about why these themes are now coming up to be felt, lived through, and experienced. Because I think that makes a huge difference. I think that makes a huge difference between why one full moon or new moon is different from the next, because otherwise they're all the same. Like there's a full moon in the same sign every year, you know? So I think it's really the context to me that makes the most difference. So we're going to look at that. If you don't want to hear this because it's long or you're tired of it or you've already heard it, totally fine, not a big deal. You can go ahead and skip it. I've got timestamps down below in the description box so that you can easily navigate to whatever part in the video you want to get to if you want to get to the point quicker. But I'm going to hop in. Okay, what I want to start with here, you've been with me for a while, is going to be an alignment that happened somewhere in between, roughly. It's been a long time now, so I'm a little fuzzy on the dates, but it was somewhere in between January to April of 2020. And what happened then is we had a very rare, significant, and challenging alignment occur at that time. And that was Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, and the South Node all conjunct here around the middle 2 end degrees of Capricorn. Okay, that was very rare. Maybe we'll start there because Pluto and Saturn only come conjunct every 35, 36 years roughly, and not always with Jupiter there. That's even more rare. Okay, that would happen not always with the South Node either. Not only was it rare, but it was also very challenging. And it was very challenging because Saturn and Pluto are somewhat outer planets, Pluto definitely, which is harder for us here on Earth to understand and a little more difficult to work with. And because Jupiter doesn't like to be in the sign of Capricorn, it does not function that well there, not really helping us out that much. And because the South Node too can also be a challenge about things that are just not working and not helpful for us here anymore. So this is a very rare, difficult alignment. What was the very rare, difficult alignment? Well, Saturn and Pluto, right, can indicate us feeling stuck, feeling uncomfortable, not feeling happy. Not only that, but Pluto is a planet of change and transformation that needed to be made in order to overcome things that we aren't happy about that may have persisted 3 decades, right, 35 years prior to that point, that needed to be made, and that were very big, Jupiter being a very big planet, and required some hard decisions in order to overcome. So that's what happened January to April 2020. We realized, hey, something about my life and the way it's been going for the past 35 years that I don't like anymore, or that just about grown, that I now need to make some big permanent changes and some hard decisions in order to release and overcome that and let go of that so I can eventually move on. And we started to do that. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which is about 2 years after that, which is going to be a new moon solar eclipse here, which happened in the sign of Taurus, the very beginning in, I believe it was April of 2022, somewhere around there. Okay, around that time, I actually think it was May of 2022, okay? Around that time, we had the solar eclipse in Taurus. This to me was a good thing here because it was on the North Node, and the North Node does tend to be more positive about what we are learning to cultivate more of at this time. Okay, what was that about? New moons are about new beginnings. Positive with the North Node. Taurus is about fertility and abundance. It's also about stability and security, and also too can be about new life, beauty, things starting to grow in a lot of ways. So what that means to me is that in May 2022, 2 years after that Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, South Node conjunction, we started to feel much better. We started to feel as though we had ended enough things in our life that we didn't like, that weren't working for us anymore, that we were in a little bit of a better place that was more secure, and we were able to grow now now in our lives to bring in other things that were going to be just more fertile, more abundant here, and better for us after this point here that I thought was good. That then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which happened about 2 weeks after that, very quickly after that, also somewhere around May of 2022. And that was a full moon lunar eclipse in the opposite sign over here of Scorpio. Okay, now that was a bit more difficult and challenging than the new moon. It was a bit more challenging because that full moon was on the south node, and the south node is difficult because it indicates things that we're comfortable doing, that come naturally and easily to us, but that we're no longer meant to be doing and that are going to hold us back if we continue to do that here. So that was a bit more difficult here. What are those habits that we're very comfortable doing, but that are no longer useful to us at this time? Well, those are Scorpio traits. Not because Scorpio is a bad sign, okay, just because the south node was there at that time here. Okay, so there are more Scorpio things that just at that time were unhelpful. What is Scorpio when interpreted in an unhelpful way? Well, this can be about change. Scorpio sometimes can make too much change, right? And too much change is not useful anymore because we've already made enough change and now we need to build and grow. Not only that, but Scorpio, when negative, can also be about subconscious challenging emotions here that we might be feeling or indulging. And we also needed to stop that because even though we may feel challenged emotionally, it doesn't help when you're trying to grow something beautiful and better if we still have this negativity wearing us down. Okay, not only that, but Scorpio when negative can sometimes indicate being too intertwined with other people or giving our power away to other people. And we also needed to stop that because when we're building something that we've never done before, sometimes it's better to do it alone because you don't know what you're doing here and how other people are going to fit into that. Okay, not only that, but Scorpio too can be about spending money when negative, and we needed to stop spending the money here too because we don't know what we're going to need it for later on when we're doing something new here that was going on. And that was very, very hard, I think, for us to understand that we needed to stop doing that and instead cultivate different habits that are more Taurus, slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant. And not only was that what happened then in May 2022, where we started to realize that was very hard, but I think it took us almost all of that year, almost all of 2022 to fully understand that and get it through our head about what these traits were and what they mean and do that. It really wasn't until the very beginning of 2023 when I think we started to figure it out. And what was significant about the beginning of 2023, I'm going to say around January of 2023, is that Mars went retrograde in Gemini in the months prior. Gemini is about our mindset, adjusting that here. And Mercury was retrograde in January of 2023 here in Capricorn, in that same spot that Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn was here, also helping us out. So I think in January of 2023, we finally started to get it. I need to stop intertwining myself with other people too much, giving my power away, spending money, indulging all these negative emotions and making too many changes. And not only did we realize that, but we also started to make some adjustments with money, to spend less, with relationships, to let go of some people that weren't good for us or put more distance between us and other people that weren't helpful here around that time that I think was meant to be a good thing. That then leads me now to the next group of alignments I want to mention that happened, I believe, March, about 2 months later, March of 2023. And what happened then is we had two planets change signs. We had Pluto leave the sign of Capricorn and enter the sign of Aquarius, and we had Saturn leave the sign of Aquarius and enter the sign of Pisces. Okay. When planets do this, especially slower moving planets that don't change signs that often, it is very significant and can indicate some big chapter change in our lives or story change here in our lives in a bigger way here. And again, to get on some new, right? Like new chapter, new journey, new experience here that was going on, and a new experience with Pluto and Aquarius where we feel more free to be our authentic selves, to live life however we want to live it. And with Saturn and Pisces to feel like just more at peace with ourselves without the past bringing us down here that was going on. And I thought that was a good thing, especially with the solar eclipse in Aries right after that, really encouraging us to move forward. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention here, which was, which one was it? Which year are we in? Oh, okay. I'm like, where are we? The next alignment I want to mention, which was around May, I believe, May of 2023. Around May of 2023, we then had Venus go retrograde right here in the sign of Leo. Okay, this was a bit of a challenge here. This is a bit of a challenge because it is a personal planet going appearing to go in the opposite direction that it's meant to go, which can indicate us feeling stuck yet again, held back, or just not being able to move in the direction and at the speed that we might like here. So that was hard. Just when we feel like we're home free to move forward again, we're not. There's another thing that's holding us back here. What was the issue? Well, Venus was going retrograde in the sign of Leo here at this time. And Leo is about happiness and joy and pleasure and fun and honoring our heart. And with Venus retrograde there, it means there's something not right about that. We're not doing that, because if we were, Venus would be going direct. So the issue here is that we're trying to move forward in life without honoring what makes us happy, honoring our heart, doing what we love, and finding our passion. Not only that, but around that time, Pluto also retrograded back into Capricorn, where it's been for a while. And Pluto sometimes can bring things to too much of an extent and an unhealthy extent. And Capricorn, when unhealthy, can be too structured, too rigid here, and too cold and too stuck in emergency mode here. So not only in May 2023 did we have problems moving forward yet again on some new beginning we've been trying to get to since 2020, but we had problems moving forward because we weren't honoring our heart, our emotions, what made us happy and joyful. And we're still stuck in rigid, this is the way things have always been done, control, cold, emergency mode here about our situation that was holding us back. That then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which happened around July of last year, 2023. Around that time, we had Pluto at the last degrees of Capricorn here, making a square to the nodal axis, which includes the south node here in Libra and the north node at the time, the Aries. Okay, that was also very difficult here, being a square to the nodal axis, which can also indicate feeling stuck, and that stuckness intensifying and feeling very uncomfortable, which we already kind of talked about. Okay, but even though this can indicate even more intense stuckness, it can also indicate something else. Here, it can indicate us, when you get a square to the nodes, having to make a choice. And having to make a choice with Pluto being a planet of permanent change, to permanently change something in order to overcome the stuckness and move forward. And with it being in Capricorn, to permanently change so that we get out of emergency mode, right? That's what we just talked about, to get out of emergency mode and more into our emotions, our heart, our soul, our happiness, and to change a lot of things in our life to be happier, to be more in tune with our emotions, and to honor more of that. Okay, and I think that was hard, but I think that we started to do that. Okay, that then leads me now to the beginning of this year. January of 2024, we had a new moon in Capricorn here at the beginning of this year. And that new moon in Capricorn in January of this year, I think, was about us getting a better balance between heart and emotions and honoring that, since we were making a lot of changes to do so, and structure in our lives. Because the idea is to not totally get rid of structure in our lives. It's to have a better balance of the structure and of the things that we need to do with our emotions in the process. So we started to do that. Okay, that then leads me now to the next new moon, which was in February of this year that we had. We had a new moon in Aquarius. Aquarius is a lot about, unique and innovative approaches, trying different things. So I think in February of this year, we then tried to do more things in this different approach to life that was a better balance between happiness and joy and responsibility. Because remember, we weren't balanced before. We were all work, all seriousness before. We're trying to do things in this more unique way here that was going on, that we were embarking on. Okay, that then leads me now to the next new moon, which happened a month later, somewhere around March of this year, 2024. The new moon was in Pisces. Pisces is really the sign of the past. It's not about moving forward, and it's a water sign about a lot of emotional stuff. So I think what happened in March of this year is that we realized, we want to move forward on this new way of life where there's more balance between play and work and all of that, but we're really not ready to move forward on it because there's still some subconscious or deep emotional stuff that still hasn't been resolved around resting and having fun and around all of this, and that we needed more time to really work it out within our soul, which I think did require a lot of rest here in order to, and time alone, doing nothing, to some extent, in order to really work all of that out here that was going on. Okay, that then leads me now to the next new moon that we had, April of this year in Aries. I believe that was a solar eclipse here. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, about us moving forward. I think that was about us trying to move forward yet again after spending some time to heal and adapt to this new approach to life. It was us trying to move forward again with this more balanced approach to life between work and play. Hey, I think there were some fits and starts there when it came to that. But even though there were some fits and starts, I think it did start to work a month later at that new moon in Capricorn. That new moon in Taurus around May. And I think at that new moon in Taurus, Jupiter and Uranus came conjunct around that time, a very rare alignment, also in the sign of Taurus where that new moon was. I think we started to get a hang of some things. Taurus, again, is about fertility and abundance. Jupiter was there about gifts, good luck. Uranus could have brought that unexpectedly. It also could have brought some realizations and wisdom here about how we can not only move forward in this new way that's more balanced between work and play, but how we can make it more solid, get more confident in it, and work money together. Taurus is a money sign, our gift, skills, and talents, and improve our health, our body, our appearance here in the process. And I think that was very good. Lots of insights about how we can feel more solid in this different approach here that's going on. And that then leads me now to the next new moon, which occurred, I guess, 2 weeks ago, right? The new moon in Gemini here in June. And Gemini is a lot about ideas and thoughts here that was going on, and Jupiter just entered Gemini. And I think what happened in June is that we started to get a lot of new ideas and new thoughts now about what we could do, right? Since we had a more balanced approach to life between work and play, and we're feeling more solid and more confident around that and more clear on what to do next, we then were getting more ideas about how we can expand on this more solid foundation that we now have in a new place of life, and what we could do next that would be more cool, more fun, more interesting, and just better for us as a whole here that was happening, that I think we were having a little bit of a difficult time parsing through. And because I think we're starting to come to a little bit of a better place here in life, more solid, more clarity about our next steps, and this new experience with lots of ideas that we want to do next. This full moon now in Capricorn, of which this video is for, is us trying to make decisions about what new idea we want to pursue, or how we want to pursue in life now that we're feeling a little more solid, a little more secure here in our situation, and we're trying to put more structure in place surrounding that so that we can put our life in a better direction. Okay, and that's it. Okay, that's what's going on there. Maybe just to repeat that very briefly, over the course of the past few years, we've been trying to get into a new, different, and better chapter of life. It's taken us a while to get here, a lot of fits and starts, but I think over the course of the past few months, we've started to get somewhere significant here in a new experience that feels more secure, and it's opened up a lot of new ideas now about what we can do next and how we can do it, that we're not sure which to pursue and how, that we're trying to make decisions about right now to figure out what our next journey is, what our next adventure is, what our next path is at this time. Okay, and give us more certainty about our life direction. Okay, and that's it. Because that's all I'm going to say now about the context. I'm going to have to cut that down at some point. I'm now going to move forward to give you more specifics about this full moon itself. So let me do that. And to give you more specifics, I'm just going to place the full moon on the chart. We've got the moon here in Capricorn opposite the sun in Cancer. Okay. So this is where we are. Full moon, Capricorn, trying to make decisions about what we're going to do next in life here with more structure, more boundaries, and more practicality surrounding it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mention the alignments that the full moon is making. The first one that I want to mention is that it is making a square over here, both the sun and the moon, to Neptune in the sign of Pisces. Now it is passing this, it's moving away from it, but it is still within orbit. It's like, what, 2 degrees away here, so very significant. What is this about? This is a little bit of a challenging alignment here because it is a square. Square is a hard aspect, and Neptune's involved, and Neptune can also be a bit difficult as well, being an outer planet, which functions, differently, and it's harder for us here on Earth to understand. Okay, what difficulty can this create? Well, typically my keywords, this shouldn't be a surprise for Neptune in a hard aspect, is feeling confused, feeling overwhelmed, feeling disoriented, maybe even feeling stuck. This could also bring some sadness here with Neptune and Pisces being a water sign here. If this doesn't bring confusion, sadness, stuckness, overwhelm, then sometimes, Pisces is a very creative sign. It can be known for illusions, thinking we know the answer when we don't, or just not seeing super clearly here our situation and what might need to be done here at this time. Okay, so right? And Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, which can also still indicate feeling stuck in old things and not where we want to be. So what that means now, to put this together here, is that what we're trying to do at this full moon in Capricorn is make decisions here and make decisions about what fun ideas that I think we like, that we want to pursue next in our lives to put our life in a better direction here at this time. And we're a little confused, still a little confused about what idea to pursue, what to decide, what direction we want to be in here, or overwhelmed by the decision, by the options, sad about this decision, or the options we need to let go of in order to move forward here, or just think we know when we don't know, just feeling a little hazy here about the whole situation here that's going on, and like we're not fully ready yet, I think, to make the decision that it is that we might want to make here at this time. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention here, and it's going to be that this full moon in Capricorn here is opposite Venus and Mercury, which of course are very closely, close to being in a conjunction here with the sun. So we're going to talk about that here. Now, I'm going to consider this to be a good thing, whether it's an opposition to the moon or a conjunction to the sun, however you want to consider it. I want to see this as a good thing because Venus and Mercury here are involved, and the sun and the moon, and all of these things are benefic planets, and they get along very well with one another, and are meant to bring, easier things that are just easier for us to handle and digest. So I want to see this as helpful. What is helpful here? Well, Mercury is about our mind, and thinking things through, maybe talking things through. Venus is about being open to receive something. It also, too, since it's a feminine principle, it also, too, can be about weighing out facts and information here and things like that. And it's in Cancer. Cancer is about our emotions here, what would be more emotionally fulfilling to us. It's also, too, about feeling more grounded in our foundations in life, what would make us feel more grounded or give us a better foundation. And it also, too, is about our intuition here and trying to tap into some of that. And with it being in opposition, right, it's opposing the moon, oppositions can be functions of balance, trying to balance that with practicality, the practicality of the Capricorn moon here that is going on here at this time. So what that means to me, again, to continue with the interpretation, everything's cumulative, is that we're trying to make decisions here about what ideal we want to pursue next in our lives and how we want to pursue it to put our life in a better place, and what boundaries and structures we need to put around that, which is a fine thing to want to do, but we're confused. We're confused about what decision to make, where we want our life to go, or just not thinking clearly about it, feeling maybe sad or stuck, or overwhelmed by the whole thing. That can be a challenge. And because we want to make a decision, but we don't know what decision to make, we're trying to go inwards into our emotions, to understand what our emotions are feeling, to ground our emotions, and to balance some of this practical decisions with our intuition, to see if our intuition has answers that can help guide us here throughout this process as we move forward, and to think and talk about more of that, which I think is meant to be helpful. That then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which is also going to be here with Venus and Mercury. Venus and Mercury here in Cancer are not only near the sun and in opposition to the moon, but they're also coming into, especially Mercury, it's really Mercury that's doing it, coming into a square to the nodal axis, which includes the north node over here in Aries and the south node over here in Libra. Okay, now this is a little bit of a challenging thing here. This is a little bit of a challenging thing because it's considered a skip step when a planet squares the node in evolutionary astrology by Jeffrey Wolf Green, which is what I do. So this can be a little difficult here, and I'm definitely going to interpret it in that way. But before I interpret it in the difficult way, I think it's also bringing some insight as well. So I think I'm actually going to interpret this a bit of both here. I think that this is bringing both insight and both a difficulty, feeling of stuckness here at the same time. Okay, let me start with the good. What good can be coming here? Well, it's Mercury in the square. Mercury is about insight, being about our mind, thinking things through. And it's in Cancer, about our intuition, an intuitive sense of things that we're registering in our more conscious or logical mind here at this time. That we're getting. And I think the square to the nodes is bringing that. There is some kind of clarity and insight that our intuition is pointing us towards. Okay. especially because this is that, the bends. This is the bends. When a planet squares the nodes, it's in between eclipses. It's at the point that would be in between eclipses in a lot of ways. So I think it's bringing some sort of insight. What insight is it bringing? This is very, very specific, okay, about our situation and about how to approach it. Well, it's bringing an insight that's more towards the North Node, right? Because the North Node is about our purpose at this time in our lives, what we need to cultivate more of in order to succeed and grow. And the South Node is about things we don't need to cultivate, that are going to hold us back if we continue. So we're starting to realize here with Mercury square the nodes what I do need to do next and how I need to do it in order to succeed, and what I don't need to do and what I need to avoid in order to move forward. Hey, what is it that we're realizing we need to do more of? Aries, because that's where the North Node is. What is Aries? Okay, Aries is, how do I say this? It's a Mars ruled sign. It's a fire sign. It's quicker. It likes to do things fast. Mars doesn't like to stay still. It doesn't like to stay stuck. It likes to do things quicker and faster. Not only might I say that about Aries, but I think in some ways it likes to do shorter things that aren't as complicated, that aren't as complex, and that can be done relatively easy, right? Mars, I want to do it easy, be done with it. Do it easy, be done, move on. To the next thing. So something that is shorter to do, quicker, easier, faster to be done. Not only that, but Aries is also more independent. It's not a relationship sign. It's about ourselves doing things alone, independently, that only we can do here. Or if we're doing things with relationships where relationships support us, what I want to do, not what everyone else wants to do, not compromising away for the group, everything what we want to do, that's going to be supportive of us and our situation. Not only that, but Aries to me too is more of a non-committal type sign, especially now with Jupiter and Gemini. Here, these signs are non-committal because Aries is independent. I'm going to do things my way. It doesn't like to make all these commitments, these big, long commitments with other people and things. So one of the things we're starting to realize by going inwards and listening to our intuition is that, whatever I do next in life and whatever I pursue and how I need to do it is something that's quick, that's easy, that's short, that's simple, that's fast. Here, that I can do alone by myself really easy, where I'm not making these big commitments here, okay? Not only that, sorry, maybe I need to give you another thought. Aries to me is also a sign that's imperfect. It quincunxes Virgo. Virgo is about refinement and perfection. Aries is not. So I think we're also realizing that whatever we do next needs to be imperfect, an experiment. Whatever, just try it and see. If it's not perfect, it's fine, whatever. It's okay. So I think we're also realizing that too. Okay? Not only are we realizing that those are the things we need to do, but I think we're also realizing what we do not need to do, what we need to stay away from here with Mercury square the nodes, and that's going to be the South Node in Libra. Not because Libra's bad, just because the South Node is there, and at this time. And the South Node indicates that there's something about that sign that's not the best for us at this current moment. So Libra things we need to not do. What is Libra about? Libra is a slower sign. It's Venus ruled, not Mars. It takes a while to do things. Or if not takes a while to do things, right, it understands, right, that things are going to take just time. Not only that, but Libra to me is a sign of commitments, right? Being a sign of relationships, like partnership and relationships, right? And usually when you're making a partnership, it's some kind of big commitment that's going to take a while. So we're realizing, don't do things that are going to take a long time to do, very slow, a long time, going to take forever, and that are going to be big commitments here. Not only that, but again, Libra's a relationship sign. No, we're learning not do things with relationships, or a lot of people, because a lot of times that makes the thing slow, long, drawn out, going to take time. Not only that, but Libra is an air sign. The air signs can be in the head. They can make things more complex. A lot of moving parts here that we need to think about that's going on. We're realizing no to that. No to that here. That's happening. Okay. So let me bring this together. I'm not done with this aspect. There's a lot more I got to say about this one. Because again, this is a huge part of evolutionary astrology, which is what I do, but I'm going to bring it together here before I add that. So this full moon, we're trying to make some big decisions about what ideas we want to pursue next in our life that we're very excited about and how to do it so that we can put our life in a better direction. And we're still confused. We're still a little confused or just hazy on what decision to make, how to make the decision in what way, and feeling just a little overwhelmed, exhausted, and sad about the whole thing. And because we're still confused about what decision to make and how to do it, we're trying to go inwards to listen to our emotions and our our intuition into balance some of this serious decision making with what our soul is saying. And that is actually working. Us listening to our intuition and our soul is working to give us some very positive insights about what decision to make and what we want to do next and how to do it. And that insight from our intuition is telling us whatever you do next and whatever way you do it needs to be something short, easy, quick, fast, simple, that can be done imperfect, non-committal, and independently by yourself, or as independently as possible. Not only is our intuition telling us that, but it's also telling us do not do things that are going to take a long time, that are going to be slow, long, drawn out processes, very complex, that's going to require a lot of thought, that's going to require a big commitment over months and years, and that's going to involve a lot of people. Do not do that. Here, that's going on, okay? That's what we're realizing. I think it's coming to us naturally from our intuition. Hey, but even though that's the case, remember, the square to the nodes is not an easy thing. Here, according to evolutionary astrology, I mean, it is a function of two squares after all, okay? That's going on. And according to evolutionary astrology, what a square to the nodes can indicate is called a skip step. Here is us skipping that step, right? Is us skipping or not doing here the planet that's being squared. In this case, it's Mercury, not doing it and forgetting it altogether. I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to deal with it here, or doing it a little bit instead of a lot more in the way that it is that we really need to do it, which can cause us to stagnate 2 steps forward, 3 steps back here, or have difficulty at this time. Okay, what is it here that we may not be doing or maybe cutting short here that can be a problem, that can make us feel stuck? Well, Mercury is in Cancer. You know, Cancer is a lot about, right, our intuition here. That's going on. Hey, so that's one of the things we may not be doing enough. So one of the ways this can manifest is that we may start to tune into our intuition. Our intuition may give us an insight and may say, I think you need to do shorter, quicker, easier, independently. That's what you need to do and not this other stuff. And then we could cut off our intuition right there and be like, okay, I don't know if I want to hear anymore, you know, and we could reject it. I think essentially we could reject this simple, easy way here because, you know, we don't want to listen to our intuition, or because it's so foreign, it's something we're not used to here. That can be a little bit hard. Not only that, but another thing we may not be doing, Cancer, right? Mercury is still in Cancer. Cancer is a lot about grounding something, making it more solid. I also see Cancer a lot about integrating things into our core, our foundation, with it being the lowest part of the chart. So if we're not cutting our intuition short and just being like, okay, I don't want to hear what my intuition has to say at all, or I don't want to hear what my intuition has to say because I don't like the answer of doing things short, easy, quick, because I'm not used to it and I'm not familiar with it, then what this can indicate here is us getting the idea of like, okay, yeah, I need to do things short, easy, quick, and not long, drawn out, committal, but then we don't take the time to integrate that into our soul, into the core of our being, to make it more permanent, to make it a more permanent part of ourselves. We don't do that here. That's going on. And nurture ourselves, right? That's Cancer is another thing. Nurture ourselves through this process here. That's going on. Hey, we don't do that. Why now? Another thought. Why might that be a huge problem? Well, if we're not letting our intuition speak, we're not getting answers about what we need to do next and how, okay? And fully understanding and fleshing that out, okay? And not only if we don't let our intuition speak, we're not fully fleshing out what needs to be done and how, but if we don't take the time to fully ground that new approach into our being, into our soul, then you know what can happen later on? We may forget it. Later on, we may forget this approach to life, faster, quicker, simpler, easy, because it's not a part of us. It's not a part of us. We may forget it, get lost in the moment, which I think is a huge potential to happen with Jupiter and Gemini next month in August here, and go back to our old ways. Long, drawn out, complex, serious things that are going to lead us in the wrong direction, off the path that we really need to be on here right now at this time that can create just challenging situations, especially come September, eclipse season later this year, that we might have to deal with. So that's why that can be important here. That's going on, okay? Not only can it indicate that, but maybe a thought here too, right? If Mercury is about the mind and it's in this weird spot, it can make the mind flip-flop too. So south and north node. if we're not fully honoring the Cancer, we can flip-flop back and forth where we get clarity one minute. Okay, I think I know I need to do things short, faster, easier, quicker. And then the next minute we doubt that. Well, maybe I need to do things longer. So it can also create this flip-flopping effect here, which again is going to make it hard to act. How can you fully act and make a decision if you're not fully getting the answers that you need, and then you're not permanently integrating them, and then you're flip-flopping and doubting yourself back and forth? It's like, how can you really act on that? So I think that's what's going on here. Wanting to make decisions about what to do next in our lives and how we want to do it with all these good ideas we have, confused, stuck, overwhelmed, exhausted about this decision and what we want to do, trying to tune into our emotions and intuition to lead the way, that working to start to give us some insights here about what we need to do and how we need to do it, which is short, fast, easy, slow, independent, not long, complex, drawn out with other people. And that's very good, but we may be cutting that process of getting that insight short and not fully let ourselves get this insight that we need to do things faster, easier, and quicker, or doubt it once we do get it, or not give ourselves the time to fully integrate it deep into our soul to become a part of us in the way that we really need, which can cause us to, I think, definitely not act or make the wrong decision now or in the future here about what to do next, which could be challenging for some of us later on, especially eclipse season come September. Okay. Not only do I want to note that, but I also want to note another thing here as well, which I kind of said at the beginning of this video, but Mercury is in the square to the nodes here. Mercury is not about action, it's about thought. Okay. Action to me is more Mars, which is also not in a great place, Taurus. And I might even consider the sun action here being correlated to Leo, about risk taking here that's going on. This is Mercury in the square to the nodes, not Mars, not the sun here. Not only that, but remember I told you earlier, the full moon's at 1 degree Capricorn, which is a preliminary decision. Haven't really made the decision, still trying to figure it out kind of energy. So another thought that I want to say here is that a lot of this stuff that's going on at this full moon is not us making a final decision quite yet, and is not about acting on a decision quite yet, especially not in a big way. That might be next month here. This is simply about us getting the clarity about what decision we might want to make and the proper mindset. That to me is what this full moon is about. I want to make a decision, not ready to make a decision, still figuring out what I need to do and getting the mindset and adjusting to that mindset of what decision needs to be made. It's not really until 4 weeks from now that I think the actual decision and whatever it is we want to do will be made, and we'll start to act on it and move forward on it. We're still kind of stuck here in the mind working things through. Okay. I'm going to say there. Okay. Another thing that I want to say as well while I'm on this here is that maybe for some of you, this may feel challenging here of like, great, still trying to figure things out in the mind. And maybe for some of you, the insights themselves will feel challenging here, which means doing things in a shorter, easier, quicker way that's independent. Okay, that may feel challenging for you, and without doing things long, drawn out, commitment, complex with other people. That insight may feel challenging, and it may feel challenging for you because it's not the way we've always done things. Okay. And I think it will. But even though it may feel challenging for you, I want to note that this is meant to be a good thing. This insight is ultimately meant to be a good thing, right? Doing things easier, doing things quicker, doing things simpler. That means we're going into an easier time of life, right? Do you understand? When life is hard, everything's slow. Everything takes forever to do. Everything's a huge commitment. Everything involves tons of people and their opinions and everything like that. But when life is good, it's quick. I'm going to do here. I'm going to do that. I don't care what people say. I'm just going to do it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be easy, short, whatever, done. Next thing. So here's another thought here. I hope you all aren't feeling down, even though there still is a sense of, I'm not ready to act. I'm not ready to act yet. I'm still trying to get the mindset right. This new mindset that we're getting is a beautiful thing. It means that life is getting simpler and life is getting easier. And it means that it's going to start to pick up pace soon here. That's going on. If you don't like this insight, that is non-committal, faster, easier, quicker. If you don't like that, then I think you might want to ask yourself the question is, why is hard become easier for you? Why has long, drawn out, big commitments become an easier thing for you than this faster thing? Why is that more of the instinct? Here, this is supposed to be a good message here, a good thing. We're moving in, I think, to better times here, and something to look forward to, and not something to be upset about, even if we're still in the process of getting there. and that's what life is about. Life is about the process. It's about the journey. Life is not about being at the happy place. Life is about the journey to get there and what you learn along the way. So I want to keep that in mind here. This is not, even though there is a stuckness, still don't know what decision to make and trying to get our mindset right. It's a good thing because we're getting on the path to easier times where things are going to move a bit faster. Okay. Another thing that I want to note here, I'm tying up now, but another thing I want to note is some advice, right? If that's what's going on here, okay, trying to make decisions, a little confused, listening to our intuition giving us answers that we need to do short, easy, quick, fast, independently, but us not liking these answers, cutting the intuition short and not fully integrating them into ourselves, which can cause problems down the road. What is the advice? You have to do more of the skip step. Mercury and Cancer, right? If you're skipping it, you can't go from A to C without going through B. If you're skipping it, you got to come back to recover it. And Cancer is about integrating things into our soul, into our emotions, and becoming stronger and more firm in something, and about nurturing ourselves through the process. So the advice for how to handle this full moon is not to make a whole bunch of decisions you're not ready to make, is not to act on 500 things that you're really not clear on yet. Here, it's to slow down. Before we speed up, sometimes you need to slow way down before you speed up. It's to slow down, to go inwards into your emotions more, to listen to your intuition more, and to ground more of these insights here and integrate them more into your soul here about your doing things easier, faster, etc., and to nurture your emotions here through this process as you move forward. Another thing that I want to recommend here before I summarize all of this is that if you all want to do journal prompts, if you all want a journal prompt here to help you with this energy, what some of you can do is you can reflect on the natal placement of your moon, okay, in your natal chart by house and sign, okay, because Cancer, where the skip step is ruled by the moon, and look at that and what that means for you, because where your moon is in your natal chart is where you're going to feel more nurtured and is what is going to help you feel more grounded and integrate something more into your being and into your soul. So you might want to look into that, whatever that is, and cultivate more of those things, right? If you're a moon in Pisces, very creative, very creative, very artistic, maybe likes pets, right? Spend time with pets, doing creative projects. If you moon in Gemini, like me, maybe it's reading books, learning new information, things like that, talking about things, you might want to look at that. That might help you with that. Now, the moon in Libra might be a weird situation with the South Node there. If you're a moon in Libra, I would recommend focusing more on the beauty aspect, beautiful environments, peaceful environments, and less on the relationship aspect, or more in music. I think Libra can be more musical too and a little artistic, but you can do that. And if some of you want to download the Astra app on the App Store, you can also ask it that. You can ask it, tell me about my moon, house and sign, what would make me feel most nurtured, and it can also give you some insights there, and you can have a conversation about that. Hey, but that's it. That's all I'm going to say, because that's it. I'm just going to repeat that here one last time without the astrological jargon. So let me do that. What I think is going on here today at this time, this full moon in Capricorn here, is that we are trying to make some decisions here about what new exciting ideas we want to pursue next in our lives, and how exactly we want to pursue them so that we can put our life in a better place with more structure and more certainty. And that's a very good thing to want to do and to try to do. But even though it's a very good thing to want to do and to try to do, we're still not sure what decision to make and are still feeling confused, hazy, and unclear about it, maybe even exhausted, overwhelmed, and sad, and stuck about the whole thing too, which can be very hard. But instead of us letting that get us down, I think what we're trying to do is balance this serious decision making with our intuition and our emotions and what that is saying, and to go inwards towards that. And us listening to our intuition is starting to give us some very good clarity and some very good insights about what to do next and what decision to make. And that clarity is that whatever we do next, it needs to be short, easy, quick, non-committal, imperfect, and something we can do more independently. And what we do not need to do next is something long, drawn out, complex, slow, going to take months to do and involve tons of other people here at this time. And I think that's a very good insight that we're getting. But even though it's a very good insight that we're getting, I think that it's just the beginning of this insight. And I think it's a little different than what we're used to here, that we may be rejecting that insight, flip-flopping back and forth on it, doubting it here, and not really giving ourselves enough time to listen to our intuition, to fully flesh out the idea and what it means to us here, and to fully integrate that into our being, which can create challenges later on this year, especially come September eclipse season, if we don't, and can eventually create challenges because we may not choose the right option in the right way and unnecessarily complicate things for ourselves here that's going on, or may fall back into habits that are just no longer helpful for us at this time. Okay, because that's what's going on here at this full moon, I'm then going to give you some advice. And the advice that I want to give you at this full moon is to not make a firm commitment yet. I don't think we're ready for that until 4 weeks from now here. And to not take action, and to instead spend more time listening to our intuition to figure out what the best way is forward, that it is that we need to go, which is, again, quicker, easier, shorter, non-committal, something we can do alone and independently here. Not only is the advice to spend more time listening to our intuition to figure out the clarity and to get, the right perspective, but also nurturing our emotions and grounding ourselves with this insight so that it becomes a more permanent part of ourselves and something that we can have permanently later on and won't lose, which understanding your natal moon placement might help some of you to do better here at this time. Okay, so that's what I want to say there. Okay. Now, I usually add some other notes here at this point in the video, just other thoughts and observations, but I think I already did that already, with what I said at the very end of like, this full moon is not about action. That's another full moon. This one's just about getting your mind right on what, and getting the perspective right on how to think about your situation or what you might want to choose. So don't really have too much to add there. What else? Yeah, this is also meant to be a good thing. It means we're being initiated into an easier time, even if we're still a little uncertain and stuck right now, because sometimes you have to slow way down before you can speed up. Okay, what else? Should I give some examples? I don't know, maybe I'll give some quick. If this is like a job thing, if some of you are at a job, whether you own your own business or work for someone else, and you're trying to figure out what project should I do next at work or for my business, here, this full moon is about you realizing you need to not do the work project that's going to take months and years, and that's going to require you to partner with 500 different people and get 500 different opinions. No, don't do that. You need to pursue the business project that's going to give you the quickest win, the easiest, the fastest, the shortest amount of time, not require a lot of people, not be a big commitment, and that you might really enjoy. Okay, whatever that is for you. Okay, if this is a relationship thing, let's talk about that. Then what you're realizing at this full moon in Capricorn is that you need to not pursue a relationship that's going to be committed, big, at least not right now, and that you need to be more okay with playing the field, or if not playing the field, seeing where it goes, right? Well, what's wrong with dating? We've lost the art of dating, like especially with like the Gemini here, the Aries, there needs to be no big commitments. Hold off on that. Be okay with dating around or just seeing where you and this person are going to go without putting a big label and commitment on it here. Okay. What is this? What else could this be? Relationship. Maybe this is a moving thing. Maybe some of you are trying to figure out where you want to move here, move a home. Then this full moon has given you the insight here of like, I'm not ready to make a big commitment to move home to a permanent place that I'm going to be in forever. This place I'm going to move, it's just going to be something short term that I'm just going to try out to see if I like it. And if I don't, I can easily move. It's going to be something like that here. That could come up. If this is a health situation, even though that's a little harder, because I'm not a doctor, but if this is a health situation, then it's not that I'm going to pursue this long drawn out treatment where I'm going to have to constantly, check in with doctors. I'm going to try something that I can maybe do independently, where I trust my own inner wisdom about my health and not these doctors who don't really know, it's more, I'm going to trust my own inner wisdom about it. And, and my own intuition about my body, and pursue treatments that are something that are just shorter and quicker to see how that goes before maybe considering something longer later on, here. So something of that sort. Any other examples I can give you? Health, money, home, career. Yeah. If this is friendships, right? You're trying to meet new friends and stuff. This is also not, you're realizing you don't need to make big commitments to certain friend groups and things like that, that you can dabble in friends, dabble in different friend groups, and, little outings here and there doesn't have to be a big deal, Okay, things like that. Okay. If this is a lifestyle, right? Like maybe this is just a lifestyle choice, then what can happen is that some of you are realizing that, like, just for fun on the day-to-day, you don't always need to do long drawn out plans with friends. You don't always need to tell a friend, like, I'm going to meet you, at this place, we're going to hang out all day, and then we're going to do this thing and this thing and this thing. Like, you're realizing that just as a lifestyle thing on a daily basis, that you can just go to the park alone for 30 minutes and you'll be done, or you can just go with a friend out to lunch for an hour and that's it. Like, it doesn't need to be a whole long drawn out thing. Short, quick, easy, non-committal. I'll see you there. If I cancel, it's fine because it wasn't a big deal anyways. It's like, this is the mindset that we're trying to adopt. And this isn't a bad thing, right? This is not like we're being mean to other people and things like that. It's that we're having fun. Life's easier. Fine, we've done a big deal. When you feel better about life, you don't care if someone cancels plans on you because it's like, whatever, it wasn't that big of a deal what we're doing anyways, and I got my own thing. This is not supposed to be a sad thing. This is supposed to be better, easier, lighter, right? Okay. I think that's what I'm going to say there. Now let's look at your inside degrees really quick. Also, maybe while I'm here, I do think I need to cut down the beginning part. The context, because I think it took me like almost 20 minutes to go over all of that here, which is like a quarter of the video. So I think I have to cut it down. I haven't cut it down yet because I really have just had a lot of other things just on my mind that's just made it hard for me to think about. So I do have to do that. If you all have any suggestions of what I can cut out of that, just let me know. I'll consider those. I don't plan on making any decisions about that this video or the next video or the next video, but I guess I do need to start thinking about how I can abbreviate that. Now I'm going to pull up your inside degrees. So let's look at that. This full moon in Capricorn is at 1 degree here. So the degrees before, of, and after, I think can all be relevant. The inside degrees were not written by me. They were written by someone else named Elias Lonsdale, who channeled the meanings of each of the degrees from spirit. I just read them because I like them, and I think that they're relevant. Now, the inside degrees function a bit differently. Elias's philosophy about it was a bit different than we might think of it today. So he didn't really interpret a 0 degree Capricorn. So we're just going to stick with 1, which is the actual degree of the full moon, and 2. Okay, I'm going to read that. It says, standing on the inside of life, protected and guarded, guided and led, held fast, kept so far back inside that what does express itself is purely a ceremonial display, a formal declaration. Hey, I will say this. I do like the first part of this degree where it says standing on the inside of life, protected and guarded, guided and led. And I do like that because I do think there is some sort of intuitive insight or communication from spirit trying to make its way to us, which I would see as a form of being guided and led and of feeling protected. So I do agree with that in some ways. We're getting some kind of guidance by spirit that's leading us and trying to protect us here in some kind of way. But what's interesting, it says, kept so far back inside, the guidance is kept so far back inside that what does express itself is a ceremonial display. So that to me doesn't mean a new decision, doesn't mean something different. A ceremony to me is like, well, the way, kind of just the way things have always been. So I'm getting a sense here, there's an insight going on inside us. We're guided and led, by our intuition or by spirit, but it's not manifesting outwardly yet. This insight that we're getting outwardly, we're still doing what we've always done, or the regular day-to-day stuff that we've always done here. So it can't really be seen yet in that way, especially with Capricorn being a more public part of the chart. It says the observer or witness, empowered to prevail, able to see, realize, to comprehend the mysteries, clairvoyance, keenly sensing and viewing meaning and value, purpose, and spirit backbone. Okay. Another thought that I want to say, it says the observer or the witness empowered to prevail. Hey, observer and witness is not action. It's not action. It's not doing things. We're just observing and trying to get clarity. I said that, but it's here because some people get real upset when you say, oh, we're stuck. We're stuck. It's like being stuck is not a bad thing unless you think it's a bad thing. Here, being stuck gives you an opportunity to see things in a different way and to get valuable insights that you need. So keep this in mind here. Getting guidance and insight, I think, from spirit and from the divine and from intuition at this time about our next steps, but it's not outward yet. We're not acting on it yet. Okay, outwardly, we're still doing old things by old ways here. We need to give ourselves more time to observe and understand what's going on. Okay. So very strongly and steadily directed from within, that there is no outer, there is no thing to do. Okay. Not only that, see, it says directed from within, strongly directed from within. So I think we need to give ourselves more time to observe so that we can feel stronger in these insights we're getting from spirit here and have them more ingrained within us. Okay. Instead, you center yourself and align with who you truly are and stalwartly remain in the place of authority and power and inward truth as your statement and the only thing you know. So another thing that I want to say here is that, again, it says there is no outer, there is no thing to do, right? Or no action, thing to do. There is no action. It's just staying in your power, in your strength. So another, right, more confirmation here. There's not action. This is just a perspective shift that we're getting that's important here. But I think this is also saying that from that perspective shift, when the time is right, which I think is a month from now, at the next full moon in Capricorn, then we'll feel compelled to act easier, because a big theme that's been going on in the horoscopes for the past few months, I think since the beginning of this year, is that whatever we do needs to not be forced. Whatever we do next in life needs to happen naturally, easily, from within. So this is part of that here that's going on. Getting insights, very good, okay? Not manifesting outwardly yet, not acting on them because we still need time to integrate them. And once we've integrated those things, we will know because it will happen naturally and easily, whatever we do, I think a month from now, and will be less complicated here. That's going on, okay? All right, we can look at Capricorn 2. It says, it is useless to know certain things out of context. If you've always known something crucially important, that kind of knowing does not serve you any longer. So you must place yourself in the antithesis of what you've always known. And then when all seems lost, chaotic, and super strange, you must find deep inside you the spark of what you've always known, which holds true under impossible conditions. Okay. A few things I want to say here about this degree. I think this insight that we're getting, that I talked about in this video, is to do things in life in a way that's faster, easier, quicker, shorter, non-committal, all of that. Okay, that is not what we're used to doing. I think for a long time, life has been hard, especially since the years before 2020 itself. Okay, that's not what we've been doing. We've been doing things that have been slower, long, complex, dealing with a whole bunch of other people here. That's going on. So I think part of what this is saying is that this might take us time to adjust to because it's different from what we're used to here. That's going on. And now we're getting an insight that's the antithesis, the opposite of everything we used to be doing here. That's just might be a little hard for some of us to adjust to because what we used to be doing is no longer serving us. Another thing that I think this could be saying as well, even though obviously you can read whatever you want into it, here is that the context. Context is super important to me. My Saturn's right here. I got Saturn at 29 degrees Sagittarius, but I believe in cusps, so I feel like I also have I'm lucky. I have Saturn in both Sag and Capricorn. But anyways, context, right? I'm a huge fan of context, and I think that's another important thing here is that another thing that may be going on at this full moon is that we're understanding here what needs to be done next of faster, shorter, easier, but we're not putting it in the context of our situation. And it's very different to know something in theory than it is in practice. In theory, you can understand something, and then in practice, you can totally fumble the ball. So I think there's also another thing here that's going on of like, there's a need to put into context here what going faster, easier, slower means for you particular and for your situation, and to apply it to that so that you don't get lost in what you've always been doing because this feels so different. Okay. Okay, it always turns out that the massive superstructure, the beliefs and the concepts fall away, crumble to dust. But what was deeply and truly learned and made your own emerges far stronger than ever and provides a basis for the future. Meanwhile, in the thick of the action, it can look pretty desperate until the need is so acute that you reawaken that special place and make it work for you when truth is a matter of life or death. So I think that just indicates to me that accepting new ideas is different than what we're used to. We're struggling to put it into the context and the specifics of our own life, and it can be hard to do. But when we finally do it, if we do it, it's going to give us such a strong foundation and basis for the future here that we're going to feel much better about. Okay. All right, and I think that's it. Because that's it, I'm going to go ahead and pull your card. So let me do that now. We've got the Five of Swords here reversed. And at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Page of Cups upright. The Five of Swords, upright to me, it can be about conflict with ourselves and others. And I think the Five of Swords reversed is about like removing yourself from the conflict here on multiple levels. I think some of this is definitely relationship related, right? Because the South Node's in Libra. Part of what we're learning at this full moon is we need to separate from relationships and act more independently. So some of you are starting to realize at this full moon that there are some relationships in your life you need to separate from that are not working for you, that you might make the decision to do a month from now, and to keep that in mind. You know, do not associate with people at this time that are causing you more strife here than working with you, especially if you've tried to communicate that multiple times and they haven't heard. Hey, another thing here too is this is your own inner conflict. Not only is this separate from conflicting relationships that haven't been working with you time and time again after you've tried to make it work, they're done. Their chances are over here. You got to start to move on, especially next full moon here. But this is also saying your own inner conflict. Walk away from that. You know, if you're feeling conflicted within your mind, right? And this is Swords. Swords is a mind card about what's going on. Don't engage with the conflict because, and maybe even don't engage with the mentalness of it with Jupiter and Gemini, because the thing about facts are funny here, is that you can make them mean anything you want to mean, really. I mean, you can make facts mean anything, especially with the Gemini, with Jupiter now in Gemini, the good twin and the evil twin. You can make them mean anything here, you know, and thinking more sometimes about more facts doesn't really help. You know, so if you're confused about what to do and conflicted, I don't think thinking more is the answer. And I wouldn't engage in that inner conflict. Instead, I would do more Cancer, intuition, emotions, nurturing yourself here. That's going on, even if it doesn't feel productive in the moment, because it's the intuition, it's the emotions, it's the nurturing yourself that's going to give you the clarity you need instead of the other way around, right? It's not thinking more going to give you answers. It's thinking less, feeling more, intuiting more, nurturing yourself more. That's going to get you to where you need to go here at this time. So please do keep that in mind here, especially we got the Page of Cups, right? Swords, mind, Page of Cups upright at the bottom of the deck, saying there's really a need to honor more of the emotions and not engage with the mental strife or the arguments and disagreements here with other people at this time, because the emotions are going to lead the way. Another thought here too, sometimes I see the cups as being peaceful, you know, especially this card, so peaceful with the little unicorn. So I think another thing that I need to note too is putting yourself in peaceful situations, you know, where you feel more calm, you know, especially with the Pisces, the Saturn in Pisces might also help you as well. You know, removing yourself from conflicts with yourself and other people, putting yourself in peaceful situations, honoring your emotions, listening to your intuition is really where you need to be at this time. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Please check out Astra on the App Store to help you with the moon and figuring some things out there. And like and subscribe to this video if you enjoyed it. So thank you so much. I hope you have a good full moon, and I'll talk to you on the next video.